Batter up.
Batter up. I feel like I'm making pretty decent contact with the ball. How fast are you throwing these though?
Yeah, these are about 25 miles an hour.
I'm Clay Skipper, and I got 2 days to hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Okay.
This is Above Average Joe. Today we're talking baseball. If you watch baseball on TV, the speed probably doesn't translate, but the average pitch in the MLB is 92 miles per hour. For those of you doing the math at home, that means the pitch gets to the plate in about 425 to 450 milliseconds. Now the average major leaguer can get his bat around in about 110 milliseconds, but they've been practicing their entire lives. I love baseball, but it's not my sport, so I figured I'd call in some pros so they could watch me take a few cuts and give me a few tips.
Thank you. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Do you have a sense of what task I have ahead of me here?
I have a sense. I heard that we're going to hit some baseball.
I'm trying to hit an MLB fastball, so like 90, 95 miles an hour.
Do you have any experience how to hit or play ball before, or do you know how to grip a bat?
I played baseball until I was 7 or 8. I quit because they went from underhanded coach pitch to using a machine, and I was scared of the machine.
So you were scared when you were 7.
Oh gosh, if we're gonna put you on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, let me explain this. It's one thing to have somebody throwing 95, but when this machine is just sitting here and you get to watch the ball like slowly roll down and then shoot it out at 95 miles an hour, it's gonna look like a bullet coming at you.
What would you find more intimidating, hitting a 95-mile-an-hour from a pitcher or from a machine?
Definitely a machine. I mean, I see a pitcher throw them all the time. You can see a body movement, so you got something that you can really time up.
Because usually with a machine, it's probably more of an advantage because after you take a couple pitches, you're going to know the general area that it's going to be in. When you face a major league pitcher, they have a lot of movement on their pitches, especially a fastball. And not only that, but they can locate in certain areas of the strike zone. They could throw one up and in if they want, down and away. The upper class pitchers are able to do that.
It's still hard. Even though when you know what's coming, it's still hard to hit it.
Tomorrow I'm headed into the 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Oh, time out. I don't get to see this today?
Oh no, I'm going to take some cuts for you right now. But what are your 3 tips to me?
See the ball, hit the ball. That's it. All you have to do.
It can't possibly be that easy or more people would do it.
Don't think about it. Just go kill it.
Get your hands up. Get your front foot in the ground, okay? And hit the top of the baseball. It's not gonna go down. It may look like it's gonna go down. This ball is gonna rise. Hit the top of the baseball. You'll have a better chance.
Nothing about this sounds simple at all.
0.
Where do you grip the bat?
I hold it at the end of the bat. You may want to choke up a little bit on this one.
Okay.
All right?
That's going to help you to get a little bit more speed up your bat too. That's good. How big is your bat?
Where does it say? 32. 32.
That's good. So you can choke up a little bit, but remember, just be strong when you grip it because it's going to hurt.
On the ones I've made contact, it stings my hands. That might just be because I'm a bit of a wimp. But if you make good contact in the sweet spot, how does that feel?
It literally will feel like nothing.
You know when you've hit that ball well and you hit it on the barrel part of the bat.
You know, like that. When you hit the ball in the sweet spot, you don't feel it.
When you get that little stinger in your hand, that doesn't feel too good, especially in cold weather.
I'm going to take some swings for you. If you got any tips on my swag too, I'll take that, Baseball players always look so cool.
We're going to put them at 50.
50, our batting practice guys throw harder than 50.
I got to start somewhere, Gonzo.
I know, baby steps.
Oh, I got the pressure on. I know you're watching.
I can make contact. There we go.
One. See the ball, hit the ball.
There you go. You see, that's simple, man.
The machine is still scary, but not quite as scary.
You got to get started a little earlier, Clay. You're hitting that ball almost behind you.
One more. Let me get one more hit. All right, what'd you see?
Now, when you were hitting right there, you were getting the ball and the home plate's right here. You were hitting the ball right on top of the plate. Most good hitters want to hit the ball out in front of the plate. That's how they get the barrel of the bat out and the ball just explodes off. So I would just try to get a little bit further back in the batter's box because you're gaining just that extra millisecond up there that you have. Remember, that ball is going to be on you just as fast as the time that you blink your eyes because it's 95 miles an hour.
I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to try to leg kick like you just did right now, and the ball will already be past you.
You're almost kind of cheating to get to that fastball early.
One thing I wanted to make sure I asked you was about nerves. I'm going to be nervous going up against a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. You've been in some very high-pressure situations, including the 2001 World Series against my New York Yankees when you hit the walk-off hit. 2 questions on that. 1, why'd you have to break my heart? And 2, how did you calm your nerves in a scenario like that? Or what advice can you give me about staying calm when I'm in the box tomorrow?
It's more of getting in your comfort zone. Major league players are very superstitious in a lot of different ways. If they're hitting the ball well, they'll take the same route to the ballpark, same time that they do things. You're not always going to have good games, but when you have those good games, you try to remember what you did that day. That'll prepare you for the next day to try to do it again. I commend what you're doing. It's always easy. You know, we're all armchair quarterbacks. You know, we're like, oh, that's easy to do. But you put yourself out there in front of 50,000 people. There's no security blanket. You're not in the comfort of your home on the couch.
No, I hear you. That's the whole premise of the show in some ways. Except instead of doing it in front of 50,000 people, I'm doing it on YouTube in front of, you know, millions of people who, and it will stay there forever if I embarrass myself. All right. Didn't feel super great coming in today. Definitely feel a little bit more confident. Part of that was the batting practice. Part of that was talking to some pros, getting some good tips. Tomorrow, we're gonna say some prayers, see if I can't hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Today, we're at New York Empire Baseball, and we're gonna work with Coach Jordan Baltimore to get me to hit a fastball, hopefully. Knowing nothing about my swing right now, just judging by how athletic I look, what kind of shot would you give me to be able to do that?
I'll give you the downside. You've got less than 400 milliseconds to do it from the time that ball heads on its way. So less than 0.4 of a second. The time it takes for your brain to think about it and actually swing is more than 0.4 of a second. So it's impossible. But we're going to teach you how to do it anyway.
I mean, I think the thing that's pretty illustrative is that the Hall of Famers do it 1 out of 4 times.
So can you really control a round bat and a round ball and the millimeter at which you hit that ball? The answer is no. But if you have a great swing, and the plane of the swing is right, over time, on average, you will have great contact, meaning a hard hit ball that's a line drive or a low fly ball. But in the absence of that, no, if you have a bad swing, on average, you won't have good outcomes or even good output. First you'll learn to swing, then you'll learn to hit.
What happens to people who try to hit before they swing?
You introduce a mental threshold. Instead of swinging as hard as you can or nearly as hard as you can, your goal becomes, can I just make contact? That's not the goal. Hitting a ball that bounces 20 times in the infield, and then you're out by 40 feet, and then you go back to the dugout and say, hey, good contact. That wasn't good contact. That wasn't interesting at all. And swinging and missing is not necessarily a failure. Did you have a great swing? Then let's understand why you swung and missed. Swing and missing with a great swing is better than contact with a poor swing.
Sounds like you have a lot of knowledge to impart on me. Walk me through what you're gonna have me do, what we're gonna work on, how this is all gonna shake out today.
Sure. So we'll start with a movement screening. I just want to understand your strength and mobility, because the reality is, if you can't physically do a movement, and I stand here insisting that you do that movement, that ends in 1 or 2 places: frustration or failure, or both. Then we're gonna hand you a bat and tell you to swing. And we're gonna watch you try to accomplish a task. And then we'll start to build some of the mechanical movement involved in the swing, and we won't even use a baseball to do it.
All right, let's get started.
So I've brought in Dr. James. He's our director of performance. We're gonna take you through the on-base U hitting screen to understand all of your joints. How do you move? Why do you move? Let's look at the strength and mobility, and Dr. James will take you from there.
I feel a bit better there's a doctor here, in case I get hit by a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
There are certain segments of your body where we want to see more mobility and certain segments where we want more stability. This is your kinematic sequence when you're swinging. Going from the floor up, we want our foot to be very stable. We want our ankle to be mobile, the knee to be stable, the hip to be mobile, the core to be stable, the spine to be mobile. So as we work our way up, it's very interesting how it works, where we see this alternating pattern of demands of our body for mobility and stability. This is our seated rotation test.
Go ahead and sit down here. Slide out to the end of the chair. Get your feet under your knees so you'll have kind of an L or a 90-degree angle on your knees. Bring your feet together, your knees together. Oh boy. And can you go ahead and cross your right ankle over your left ankle? Squeeze those knees together. Take this bat, put it behind your neck, hold it over your shoulders, little Mike Trout style.
This gives us an idea of how well you're moving and rotating your thoracic spine. Okay. So by locking your knees and your ankles together, we're blocking out the movement of your lumbar spine, the lower part of your spine. So we're just getting getting an idea of how that's rotating, because that's a key driver of creating that separation in that swing and creating that good rotational acceleration. So if you can't rotate, then that's something we have to address before we even put a bat in your hands.
Turn to your right as far as you can. So he's about 45 degrees. Go ahead and cross your left ankle over your right ankle. Now turn as far to your left as you can.
So I'm at about 45. What's good?
So we want more than 45 degrees.
This is bad. Okay.
Bad would truly be pain. Anything else, we can either work around or train with corrective exercise. Go ahead and stand up. I'm gonna put this bat down right here. I want you to step right outside the bat so your feet are aligned. I want you to hold your hips with your left foot only. Turn your toe in and try and touch the bat handle. We're looking at internal rotation of your hips right now, and now you're right. A little more mobile on the right side.
Much easier to get.
Is that good as a righty, or is that?
So that's something that we're going to need to address, because that left hip being able to internally rotate during that swing is critical, and that's something that we're going to address with the drill later
So
on.
I'll just hit lefty.
You might not hit it all. Let's go ahead and now rotate your hips. Now, can you look to turn in a rotational
Both?
way rather than kicking the hip out side to side?
So when you're doing it on your own, you're relying on your own system to be able to both stabilize and to move,
Mobilize,
right?
yeah.
If I take you and I hold you, I'm doing the stability part for you, and now we're just saying, do you physically have that range of motion without having to worry about creating your own intrinsic stability? So we got to work on both.
It's a nice way of saying I am. It seems to me to be so instinctual, but you can actually train someone to get better at that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the key is to train someone to do it unconsciously.
The left part of your brain asks questions, right? How am I going to accomplish a task? And a lot of people call it analysis paralysis, right? Your left brain operates about 40 instructions per second, which is extraordinary, right? The right brain operates at 11 million instructions per second. You don't want to be in left brain thinking about swing thoughts when you're in the batter's box and a baseball's coming in at 95 miles an hour. I want to already be in right brain. The neural pathways are already built. You're prepared, and that preparation is going to build confidence.
Even though I'm swinging the bat with my arms and my hands, the most important force actually comes from the ground up. My screening showed I needed stability in my ankles all the way up through my lower half, and more mobility in my hips and thoracic spine. Mobilizing and stabilizing specific muscles will help me with the transfer of power through the kinematic sequence. So before I can even grab a bat and start hitting, Dr. James put me through a series of activations to get those specific muscles awake and warmed up.
A lot of times we think about mobility deficits and we just need to stretch. There's something that we see a lot is if you just tap into activating a muscle, teaching your brain that it's safe to assume certain ranges of motion. It unlocks us without ever doing a stretch. That's gonna help to unlock that extension and rotation of your thoracic spine. I'm a big believer in using activation techniques to gain mobility. This is usually the way I start our guys who are having difficulty hit mobility. I give them an external cue to drive their stability so that distally at their hips, it allows them to free themselves up a little.
Because this allows me to, instead of using my upper body and my hips, it's just isolating the hips.
Yep, you're gonna see guys playing for the Yankees that go through these hip mobility drills because it primes the body the way it needs to be primed. Kick that left leg out to the side. We're getting that loading into your hip. We're working on ankle stability. You're keeping that foot rooted in the ground.
That burns.
Just hold for another 5, 4, 3, big chest, 2, 1, and relax.
Wow.
For our athletes that we work with, we can't expect them to create powerful rotation. So our body has to be able to control rotational movements before we can create explosive power. The big focus is working on disassociating your upper body from your lower body. That's going to become critical for when you're developing your kinematic sequence. When we screen a player in the beginning of the offseason, we have months to work on the things that you just showed us right now. For you, opening day is tomorrow. So but how can we take what you're presenting with right now and give you the tools that you need to make the adjustments?
All right, well, now I'm loose, coach, so let's get me not hitting, but swinging.
Exactly.
What are we doing now?
I'm not going to limit my analysis to what I can see with my eye because the truth is you're moving too fast for me to understand everything. This is one of the Bluetooth-enabled 3D motion analysis sensors. We're gonna put one on your hips, torso, lead arm, and hand to see the chain in which your body moves. We'll get those hips to turn first, create that energy that's then gonna be used by the torso, then used by the arm, and then used by the hand. And if we get that efficient sequence working, the output should speak for itself.
All right, let's strap me up.
We don't want to just measure what your body's doing. We want to see the output you're creating. So we've gone ahead and put a blast motion bat sensor on here so that we also understand what the bat is doing in every swing. Here you go.
Sounds good. Helmet on?
Helmet on.
I feel like an action hero.
Batter up.
Batter up. Is this good sound or bad sound?
Yes.
Oh, I feel like I'm making pretty decent contact with the ball. I have no idea how my swing mechanics look to you, coach, but it feels pretty good. How fast are you throwing these though? These are like 30?
Yeah, these are about 25 miles an hour. Clay, what I'm curious about, can you show me how hard you can swing a bat right now? Wow, that's a little different.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna say, on a scale of 1 to 100, 1 being the less than average Joe, and 100 being Clay's best, that was about a 65.
Okay.
Not even thinking about hitting anything. You just swing as hard as you've ever swung. So Clay, I'm gonna throw you a few balls right now, and I want you to swing harder than you've ever swung in your life. But I'm gonna ask you to do something that's gonna be almost impossible. Don't try to hit the ball.
Okay. Okay, all right.
I mean, my work here is done, Clay.
It's like your coach. I mean, it's bizarre because I'm not even looking at the ball and it just hits it.
So you have to be comfortable with that last swing and miss because the swing was good. Let's work on output, not outcome.
Okay. That felt pretty great right there. Dr. James is not gonna be happy because I definitely don't have stability on the lower half.
Stability in the lower half is absolutely critical to rotational speed.
Yeah.
Because if you're just spinning out and you're not stable in the lower half, we're not efficiently transferring energy from your lower half into your upper half, right? If it's just spinning out and we're not bracing ourselves for what we call a lead leg block, and you can't stabilize the core in the lower half so that your torso can then rotate against your core, then you're never gonna swing as hard as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you a very simple instruction. When you land on that front leg and you want to swing your bat, how hard can you press your left heel into the ground while you're swinging? And that's gonna help to stabilize your lower half.
Batter up.
Now, was that your hardest, or did you slow down to try to hit that ball?
I slowed down and tried to hit that ball.
Yeah. Don't even try to hit it. You show me just how hard you can swing and just how hard you can press that left heel into the ground. Oh. Excellent. Oh. We have exit velo on.
My velo right now is 64.
That's good for a 12-year-old.
What is exit velocity?
Exit velocity.
I mean, it's how fast it's coming off the bat, but why does that matter?
Because the harder you hit a baseball, the more likely you are to get a hit. It's that simple. Your swing has changed because you're trying to now hit the ball and you're bringing your hands down, but you're hunting for the ball.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna give you one last instruction. Can you swing straight across your chest with no sense of where the ball is, hard as you can?
Okay.
Go for it. Amazing. Now do it harder.
I feel like I'm gonna throw my back out.
Wow. Let's go, Clay.
Oh my goodness.
So it's interesting, Clay, as I was watching you swing, those first few swings, you were just trying to hit the ball. And when you did, we saw low exit velocities and energy wasn't being transferred up the chain very well. I asked you to free up. I said, don't try to hit the ball, just show me how hard you can swing. And immediately, exit velocity jumped. Energy transferred up the chain, went way up. And we're gonna look now at your kinematic sequence. But I took a little sneak peek and I saw that we went from moving like a gate, where all four of your segments were moving together.
A thing that opens and closes, yeah.
And then on your very last swing, you moved as athletically as you've ever moved, certainly while in the cage.
I see some fancy things happening in front of me. What's going on here?
So we're taking a look at some of the performance graphs that we got from your movements. And this was one of your first swings. And what we see here, we're looking at graphs of your body's movement.
Oh, we can physically see
that's
on
the
this
kinematic
graph.
chain?
That's the sequence, that's
yeah.
the chain,
Yeah.
yeah. So hip is the red, torso is the green, arm is that blue, and then that last yellowy line is your hand.
Your hips and torso and arm all fired at the exact same time. And if you look here, it says 1, 1, 1, 1. Everything moved. If you remember, I said it kind of moves like a gate.
Yeah.
You see the separation between each of these lines is very, very small, right?
Yeah.
We didn't transfer much energy. So took a look at your swing, spoke to you and said, here's what I want you to do for now. When you start that swing, crush the ground as hard as you can with your left foot, right? Your exit velocities went up by 50%. You put two things together in your training, helping to stabilize your lower half by really focusing on crushing the ground with that front foot, but you also started to swing more freely. We saw that in the improved exit velocities, but we also see it in your kinematic sequence. Your hips fired, then your shoulders, then your arm, then your hand. And amazingly on this, we didn't only have great output, we also had a great outcome. It was the hardest ball you hit of the day, and you also hit it at your peak hand speed. On your worst swing, it took you 0.76 seconds to go from your very first move, your load, to hit a baseball. And I told you, you had a maximum move, 396.
Yeah.
That took you 760.
Yeah.
You're pretty much hitting the ball after the catcher throws it.
Yeah, exactly.
At your best, you brought that down under 396. And that speaks to, will you be able to catch up to the 95? And on your very best, you did get under 396 milliseconds. In fact, you almost got to 300 milliseconds.
And all that depends on your kinematic training.
Absolutely.
So working that so that you can get around more quickly, and then from there, that's when you can actually become pretty stellar.
But this is exceptional.
Well, I had good coaches.
Thank you.
Good coach, good doctor.
Now you need to learn how to hit.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
95 miles an hour, here we come.
Here we come.
Practice is over, the analysis is over. Now it's time for me to see if I can actually turn my swing into a hit. That's the final showdown. I got 10 strikes. A couple caveats for all the YouTube haters out there. Obviously, we're inside, we're not in a stadium. Stadiums aren't open until opening day. I don't have a real pitcher, I have a machine. Because of that, I'm gonna swing at every pitch. Lastly, no one's rooting for me, no one's playing against me, except my mom, who's definitely rooting for me at home. But that's it, gotta give it a shot. Now's the time. All right.
All right, Clay.
Oh, that was contact, technically. It's 3. Oh, thought I had that. Oh, those last two are close. Oh. Oh! All right. Actually didn't hurt that bad. There we go. Took a little ball off the finger. I don't know if adrenaline's pumping or what. It doesn't hurt that bad, so I think I got lucky.
It's gonna feel great tomorrow, I bet.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, as we watched, we noticed your timing get better and better.
The hardest thing was the timing, because when we were back practicing and you were throwing, I got like
You're
after
looking
5 or
for
6
visual
pitches,
cues.
yeah, and I was like, okay, now when I know his hand is there, I initiate my swing. With this, it's tough because you can see Chris loading it, but you can't really see the ball coming through.
So you're saying it would be easier to hit a major league pitcher?
Yeah, definitely. You just swing, you don't look at the ball, and you can still make contact.
Yeah.
It's a truly wild feeling.
Well, we're proud of you. I mean,
Thanks.
look, I'm going to be honest. I'm not surprised. I stand by what I said back there. After watching you go from where you began to where you ended just in that short amount of training, I knew you were going to succeed today.
Well, I'm happy. Thank you. All credit goes to you, Dr. James, good people at Empire Baseball. I've only ever completed one of these challenges once before, so I never know how to react. That felt great. It was exhilarating. Definitely was scared at the beginning. I think the biggest thing was just getting used to the speed of the pitch. Once I did that, it was trying to nail down the timing. And then as Coach Jordan said, just swing. I'm happy I did it. Clay skipper, above average Joe. I don't usually actually achieve these challenges, so today I can say that I actually was above average. Signing off. Thank you guys for watching.